Time now to welcome in two-time Super Bowl champion and former Seminoles cornerback Bryant McFadden. B-Mac's here to give us a preview of Florida State LSU, sold-out game at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans coming up on Sunday night. B-Mac, Tigers favored by 3 as the Brian Kelly era begins. What are your thoughts on this game at the outset?
Well, when you look at LSU not exactly knowing what you will see from them because they have yet to participate in a meaningful ball game so far in the season, it's the unknown, right? We understand who Brian Kelly is as a coach, a guy who loves to set the tone at the line of scrimmage, but he's doing so with a new personnel. The last time we saw Brian Kelly coaching on the sideline, it was for Notre Dame. The players that he coached a year ago, he's no longer coaching. A new arsenal when it comes to personnel, when it comes to skill position players. So right now, you don't know exactly what to expect from from LSU, but with Florida State, they've had the luxury of participating in the ball game. They played Duquesne last week and ran the football extremely well. Ran the football well, had 3 running backs that surpassed 100 yards, the very first time in school history that ever happened. So you have to think and you anticipate seeing Florida State try to do the same thing, set the tone at the line of scrimmage, and find a way to get the ground and pound attack going.
Yeah, you see Mike Norvell at 9-13 as Florida State's coach. And let's talk about Brian Kelly. Of course, he was hired to replace Ed Orgeron as the head coach, coming over from Notre Dame. Now, he has said that it's a tactical advantage to not reveal his starting quarterback for this game. Reports are that Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State transfer, is a little bit ahead of redshirt freshman Garrett Nussmeier in terms of the competition. Kelly says it's more like 1A and 1B, but B-Mac, what I want to know from you is it a tactical advantage to not name a starting quarterback until game time?
Not really. I mean, you look at both quarterbacks that are, fighting for that number 1 job. It's not like they're considered the best at their position in college football. Jaden Daniels has the most experience. I do believe he will be the starting quarterback for tomorrow night's ball game. You can go back and look at some of the things he did successful for Arizona State. He was a guy that utilized mobility at certain moments throughout his career there, making things happen with his legs. He's a guy that jumped into that lineup as a freshman and didn't look back, going back to his time at Arizona State. So I believe he will be the starting quarterback. When it comes to just trying to, use a tactical method, either guy really shouldn't scare Florida State defense. So it's not like they have a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young who they're waiting to unveil and showcase to the world, because based on what we've seen, especially from Jaden Daniels, he can be a pretty good quarterback, but he's not considered to be the best of the best at his position right now, to say the least.
Yeah, and Kelly says they know who the starter is. They're just taking time to name the starter to get that advantage. All right, you mentioned Florida State coming off that blowout win versus Duquesne last weekend, 47-7. B-Mac, how important is it to get off to a good start like that?
It's important. It's important, especially for Florida State, because they haven't had the luxury of starting the season off being 1-0 in a long, long time. I think the last time they had a week 1 victory could go back to 2017 or 2016. So that has been an issue for Florida State, getting off on the right foot in the beginning of the season. So being able to do so against Duquesne, I understand it was Duquesne, but get this, they dominated. And the most important thing about Florida State's victory last week, we didn't see a lot of mental errors. We didn't see a lot of offside penalties from either side of the football, offensively or defensively. We didn't see a lot of pass interference calls. We just saw clean football. And that has been an Achilles heel for Florida State over the last few years. So being able to get that game out of the way, right? And that's almost like a warm-up type of game is huge for Florida State, because over the last few years, man, the teams they faced off in week 1 gotten the best of them.
Mike Norvell entering his 3rd season, backs-to-back losing seasons, but hopes for the Seminoles are higher this season. B-Mac, what are your expectations for this team as they go into this game?
Me personally, being personally invested in the program, I'm a week-by-week individual, right? What I saw last week, I was excited to see. Now I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do against LSU. So for me to answer that question, I have a better answer, a better assessment on what to expect from Florida State Monday. Because if you look at and go back to a year ago, the first game was against Notre Dame. And remember, people were saying that was like a moral-like victory. Even though Florida State lost, people were so impressed in how they fought back to get back into the bigger things and make that game competitive. But it was a close close loss. So people went like, you know what, that's a good moral victory. And then next week, Jacksonville State or something like that happened. So me personally, knowing how invested I am in the university and the football team, I'm a week by week type of fan. But I can tell you this much: if you ask me this question Monday, I definitely will have a definite answer for you on Monday. But let's see exactly how things play out tomorrow night, and hopefully I'll be smiling all night long Sunday.
I'll make a note. BMAC, I'm not even going to ask you for a pick. Obviously, Florida State at +3.5 is where you're going to lean.
I won't give you a pick, but I'll give you something on the total. Take the under. I'm attacking the under in this ball game, and I talked about Florida State's ground and pound mentality. I think they're going to run the football. They're at their best in doing so. And of course, when you're running the football, you're utilizing time on the clock. And we know LSU, granted, Brian Kelly's the guy, but they've always had the luxury of having quality running backs to lean on offensively, especially when you look at the quarterback situation. You know, that's not the most comfortable spot for LSU. So for them, running the football should be an emphasis as well. So because of that, I'm taking the under.
All right, two-time Super Bowl champion, former Florida State Seminole cornerback Bryant McFadden joining us to talk about the big game tomorrow night, Week 1. Florida State taking on LSU in New Orleans. Enjoy the game, BMAC. And, of course, you can hear more from BMAC on his podcast, All Things Covered, with his cousin Patrick Peterson. Latest episode had a chat with Steelers general manager Omar Khan about the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, the success of their draft picks, and how to become an NFL general manager. You can download and follow All Things Covered wherever you get your preferred podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.